Welcome to Lookouts and Waterfalls in the Blue Mountains, Episode 9, Let Our Videos Be Your Guide. In this episode, we drive to the town of Wentworth Falls to visit more lookouts and waterfalls. Hello and welcome. We've driven to the Wentworth Falls picnic area car park and walked the short distance to the Wentworth Falls Lookout. We'll visit that shortly. After that, we'll walk to Fletchers Lookout. From there, we'll walk to Weeping Rock and down to Queen's Cascade near the top of Wentworth Falls. And lastly, we'll find our way to Rocket Point Lookout, high above the Arch Cave and the start of the Grand Stairway. We'll be visiting the Upper Wentworth Falls in our next episode, so stay with us. For now, we'll take the last few steps to the Wentworth Falls Lookout platform.
These are the roads we followed to get to Wentworth Falls picnic area. If you are following the M4 motorway from Sydney onto the Great Western Highway, turn off into Falls Road 39 kilometres from the bridge over the Macquarie River. If your vehicle has a trip meter, set it to 0 as you exit into Falls Road.
This is the road we took to get to the start of the walking track.
At 2 kilometres, veer right, enter the picnic area and park in the Wentworth Falls car park. From the car park, walk east along Sir Henry Burrell Road footpath to the lookout, passing Jamison Lookout. We'll take you to Jamison Lookout in our next episode. As there is no parking near this lookout, the quickest way is to use the path on the southern side of Sir Henry Burrell Road. Do you know anything about this, Graham?
I do, and we'll talk about that shortly. Wentworth Falls Lookout is located on the top of the escarpment on the southern side of the eastern end of Wentworth Falls picnic area. The lookout is named after the Wentworth Falls waterfall that is located a little further to the east. When this area was first explored around 1813, this lookout was just another rocky ledge that offered a view of the top of the falls and the Jamison Valley, and was not separately named. What a view. Nice and cool.
Our second stop today is Fletchers Lookout. found 450 metres east down a very well made and maintained track called the Wentworth Falls walking track.
Another way to get there is via Prince's Rock Lookout on the Undercliff track. This is the Wentworth Falls track that leads to Fletchers Lookout and ultimately to the bottom of the falls. In this episode, we will stay on the escarpment. In a future episode, we will visit the actual falls. Another way to walk to Fletchers Lookout, and all the locations today, is via Sir Charles Darwin Walk that starts in Wilson Park on the Great Western Highway and follows the Jamison Creek. If you are walking from Wentworth Falls Station, it will probably be the path you prefer at a distance of 2.8 kilometres from the highway, past numerous small unnamed cascades and the Weeping Rock to get to Fletchers Lookout.
Do we know how this lookout got its name, Graham?
This lookout was named by David Fletcher, born in 1825 and died in 1890. He purchased 5 parcels of land along the top of the cliff line on the 23rd of October 1876, and in 1878 he became one of the earliest trustees for this reserve, known then as the Weather Board. In 1889, the lookout was sometimes called Fletcher's Outlook. The March 1889 Nepean Times carried an article that is quite descriptive. By alternate slopes and steps we come to a semicircular stone-built nook, provided with a seat, which is called Fletcher's Outlook. Hence, yet another and splendid view of the falls is gained, and we can clearly trace the complete course of the water till it reaches the pool. Hence we ascend to a higher level, where the ledge grows wider and the valley is seen to better advantage as more of the overhanging clouds disperse and uncover the distant vale. We are now beyond the sound of the falls with their tuneful splash, and the whole scene is enwrapped in unbroken silence, while no human testament is visible to dispute the sway of nature in all her pristine glory clad. Fletchers Lookout is in 3 sections and has views almost directly over the top of Wentworth Falls.
Our next feature is the Weeping Rock, situated 120 metres northeast of here.
The way to Weeping Rock from Fletchers Lookout is to walk back where a turn right takes us further along the Wentworth Falls walking track.
All the tracks are well signposted, so you should have little difficulty finding your way around.
What do we know about this place, Jeffrey?
The Weeping Rock is a rock formation on Jamison Creek above Queen's Cascade and about 100 metres above Wentworth Falls. It was named for its continuous flow of water that trickles over this partly isolated mass of rock, giving the appearance of weeping tears. The Weeping Rock has always been an object of great interest and became well known even in Melbourne in 1888, when in its arts section the Argus newspaper published. Not far from Wentworth Falls, tourists are met with a charming piece of nature's work called the Weeping Rock, where quiet waters seem to roll peacefully over it into a basin of crystal liquid beneath, in vivid contrast to the dashing fury of the falls. This water-soaked rock was commonly seen on postcards in the early 1900s, and it was often beautifully described. Water is always trickling over the face of this almost isolated mass of rock from a rivulet which breaks away from the main stream. One cannot but picture its appearance with the sun shining brightly upon it and making it sparkle and glisten as a shower of myriads of tiny diamonds. This spray falls some 20 metres into a self-made basin below, where it gaily dances as it falls and then disappears along the valley beneath the dense foliage over the Queen's Cascade and the golden sands to the final fall into Prince Regent's Glen.
Here's a photograph from David Noble. Doesn't look like a weeping rock to me.
Our next stop is Queen's Cascade, situated roughly 100 metres further down the track that leads to Wentworth Falls.
This track continues downhill and offers glimpses of the upper parts of the Queen's Cascade through the undergrowth until we reach the bottom. As mentioned earlier, another way to get here is along Sir Charles Darwin Walk from the Great Western Highway near Wentworth Falls railway station. Directions to each of today's locations can be found at the end of this episode.
Tell us about this place, Graham.
When Governor Macquarie visited this place in 1815, he named the cascade and falls by one name, Campbell Cascade. This is what was published in the Sydney Gazette on the 8th of July 1815. The Governor, on his return over the King's Tableland, had much gratification in beholding a cataract of immense height, which falls over a precipice little short of 1,000 feet down to the Prince Regent's Glen. forming one of the most stupendous and grand sights that perhaps the world can afford. This cataract, having been discovered by 4 gentlemen of the Governor's party, His Excellency has been pleased to give it the name of one of them by calling it the Campbell Cataract, after John Thomas Campbell, the Secretary. By 1898, the cataract and falls had been separately named Queen's Cataract and Wentworth Falls.
Here is a photograph from David Noble. Rocket Point Lookout is our last stop, and that is further 230 metres along the track that leads to the Undercliff Walk from Queen's Cascade. Rocket Point Lookout is situated high above the Arch Cave Rocket Point walking track that is commonly called the Grand Staircase. From Queen's Cascade, follow the track past the top of Wentworth Falls and at 30 metres turn left at the stone sign with a sculptured lizard on it, marked National Pass. Turn immediately up the hill at a small sign on your right and at 230 metres end at the lookout. Graham, what do we know about this place?
Rocket Point Lookout is another hidden gem that often gets overlooked by visitors to Wentworth Falls, despite the fact that this lookout offers the best views of the waterfall. The fenced Rocket Point Lookout is located high on a cliff edge, offering scenic views of the waterfall and the huge valley below. The origin of the name is unknown, possibly named by Peter Joseph Mulhern, a trustee of the Wentworth Falls Reserve who died in 1936. One explanation of the actual name is that rockets were let off at this high point for some particular reason. Well, I found that reason. It all started in May of 1902, when a news item from Britain was reported in the Sydney Sunday Times on the coronation of King Edward VII. It reads, "Coronation night in London is to be made brilliant by a chain of bonfires extending throughout the length and breadth of the 3 kingdoms." Our Sydney reporter then wrote, "Is anything like this to be attempted in Australia?" We all know how Australians respond to dares, and the Bonfire Night became an annual event. In May 1913, this item appeared in the Nepean Times. In connection with the chain of bonfires between the Canobolas and Prospect Hill, 55 of which have been promised, there may be other districts that would like to form a link in the chain on Wednesday next, May 28th, Centenary Night. The program is light up at 7 p.m. and signalled to the neighbouring bonfires by rockets and by fire balloons. Oh, look at this. Wow, very nice. Rocket Point Lookout this way. There you go. Were rockets fired into the sky on Centenary Night in 1913 from this lookout? Was it this event that named Rocket Point? I say so. Prove me wrong. Rocket Point Lookout. There's a rainbow again. Same one that followed us last time. This has been an interesting day, Jeff.
Fascinating, actually, Graham. I think this is the best spot we've visited. Saw a lot of people actually swimming. So, yeah, great little spot, Graham.
We visited 5 places today: Wentworth Falls Lookout, Fletchers Lookout, the Weeping Rock, Queen's Cascade and Rocket Point Lookout. We don't expect you to do all this in one day. Take your time, fully enjoy the outdoors, the sunshine, fresh air and wonderful vistas. But most of all, stay safe by familiarising yourself with the safety instructions at the end of this video.
In our next episode, we drive back to Wentworth Falls to visit 2 lookouts and a waterfall. See ya, bye.
Bye for now. Thank you, cicadas.
Whatever way you discover the Blue Mountains, we want you to have a safe and enjoyable experience. Whether you drive, catch public transport, or cycle to the destinations we visit here, some walking is necessary. The walks are usually short, but can contrast greatly, so you need to be aware of the risks. Have a safe and enjoyable sightseeing experience at these lookouts and waterfalls. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to be alerted when next we visit the Blue Mountains.